Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me? Okay, so it's cool. Okay, first of all, I welcome all of you to my talk. And the topic of my talk is ethical and trustworthy AI through standards. Uh, so in this talk, we are going to basically learn about what is ethical and trustworthy AI and what are standards and what are specific AI standards that could help to achieve the ethical and trustworthy AI. So I will start with a short introduction and then we will go directly into the discussion topic of ethical and trustworthy AI and then related standards. So when we talk about AI system, we are referring to the softwares in computers or machines that are basically perform tasks which are normally associated with human intelligence. Modern AI systems are mostly data driven and they use a lot of data to do stuffs like predictions or making some sort of decisions or doing some autonomous actions. But given the large amount of data needed to train a system is the requirement of the modern AI system, but also it raises important questions about the relation to the personal data, data protection, and privacy. In addition to these things, the automatic decisions may also raise questions about creativity and how can an AI algorithm be designed to prevent uniform thinking or to avoid bias in automated decisions. Furthermore, the output of AI algorithm is often inexplainable due to the design and complexity of the or the nature of the algorithm, and we can't see either the decisions are opaque or these are biased based on some gender or some other kind of discrimination. So, as we already knew that artificial intelligence is bringing a lot of benefits, but there are the considerations in the areas of trust, ethics, and social concerns, which are basically coming from various application domains. For example, the domains which are very sensitive, like medical domains, health domains, or autonomous vehicle, where we require to deal with the road safety. And these requirements are also coming from different regulatory bodies, consumers, or government sectors. So in nutshell, we could say that if we define or if we implement or provide some sort of explainability, fairness, reliability, transparency, and privacy while developing AI system, so we could say that, in other words, we are going towards the trustworthy AI. So I would like to share now the human approach towards artificial intelligence, a European approach towards the artificial intelligence, which is basically human-centric approach to AI. This is initiated in 2018 when the European Council endorsed an ambitious Europe-wide coordinated AI action plan. And then in March 2019, the European Commission rolled out a plan for ICT standardizations, and with the objective is to include AI standards. In 2019, European Commission built a high-level expert group which is basically responsible to develop guidelines for the trustworthy AI. And then in the progression of this, European Parliament study recommended the creation of a regulatory body for algorithm decision making. And now at the end, in April 2021, we have a recent draft, which is called AI Act. It's a proposed regulatory draft, which basically regulates how the artificial intelligence could be used or applied or developed in public domain or as well as in the private domain. This proposal is commonly known as AI Act. If we just looked into the trustworthy framework from the high-level expert group on artificial intelligence, they propose 7 key requirements for trustworthy AI. And these requirements are mainly human agency and oversight, which include fundamental rights, children's rights, human agency and human oversight, transparency, including traceability, explainability, and communication, diversity, non-discrimination, and fairness, including accessibility, universal design, the avoidance of unfair bias and stakeholder participation, and it also allows use of AI regardless of age, gender, abilities, or characteristics, with a particular focus for students with special needs. Then, societal and environmental well-being. It includes sustainability and environmental friendliness, social impact, society and democracy, privacy and data governance. With respect to privacy, quality, integrity of data, and access to data, technical robustness and safety, including resilience to attacks, security, and general safety of AI systems, accuracy, reliability, and reproducibility, and at last, accountability, which refers to auditability, minimization, and reporting of negative impact, trade-offs, and redress. So these are the 7 key requirements which are proposed by high-level expert group on artificial intelligence. And there's also a metric available, a tool available, which AI developers can use to evaluate their AI based on these requirements. Now, standards. So basically, the purpose of this talk is to correlate the requirements of these ethical AI or trustworthy AI with the use of standards. The term standard refers to various rules and norms in everyday use, including professional, industry, and ethical standards. But what do we mean by standard for AI? It's basically, so we are basically talking about technical standards. And technical standards are produced by standard development organizations or SDOs. And these standards are basically referred as technical standards. And standard developed in SDOs are voluntarily and developed through stakeholder-driven process according to certain principles such as relevance, transparency, and consensus. That's why it takes a bit longer time to get a finished standard available in the market or to adopt in the public use. When we talked about AI standards, these are the reference documents built by AI communities consensus. And to develop these standards, the knowledge across the domain is collected, distilled, and updated by experts, which are basically represented by private organizations, researchers, developers, end users, or regulatory bodies in the subject matter, in this case, AI. And these standards mainly used to define concrete benchmarks and rules for a specific domain. AI standards at a high level can be distinguished into 2 categories, horizontal standards and vertical standards. Horizontal standards are the generic AI standards or general AI standards which are deal or apply in a cross-cutting way to several application domains. Whereas the vertical standards deal with a very specific topic of AI or a very specific domain, like the AI standards for communication or AI standards for autonomous vehicles, and AI standards for 5G networks, things like that. We can also divide standards based on their geographical SDOs, like the standards are international standards. If they are adopted by international standard organizations and made available to the public, there are the European standard adopted by a European standardization body and made available to the public. Or they could be the national standards. For example, if we have a standardized committee in Pakistan, the standards developed by that committee or organization will be the national standards. But I am talking with reference to the Germany, Europe, and international. In Germany, we have German Institute for Standardization, German Commission for Electrical, Electronics, and Information Technologies, European Commission for Standardization. At Europe level, we have European Committee for Electrotechnical Standardizations, European Telecommunication Standard Institutes, and internationally we have International Organization for Standardization, ISO, International Electrotechnical Committee, IEC, International Telecommunication Union, ITU, and Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineer Standard Association, or IEEE SA. So in my further talk, we only consider international organizations like ISO, IEC, and IEEE, and we look into the standards proposed or developed by these organizations, how these standards could help us to basically develop trustworthy AI systems. So let's talk first about ISO, IEC AI standardization. So ISO and IEC are considered the first international standard development organizations that set an expert group to carry out standardization in AI domain. So they already have a JTC1, a joint technical committee that deal with the ICT standards, and under that committee they build JTC, a subsection of JTC1, which is called subsection 42 in 2017, and the purpose of this subsection S42 is to basically do standardization in the area of artificial intelligence and serve as the focus and prominent for JTC1 standardization program on AI, and provide guidance to JTC1, IEC, ISO committee, and other developing groups. Here you can look into a bit more detail about the working groups under these subsection 42. For example, so this is further divided into working groups and joint working groups. So the first working group is called Foundational Standards Working Group, and this working group is working to develop foundational standards for AI, which normally consists of concepts and terminologies or different frameworks for AI or machine learning. The other working group is dealing with data standards. The data standards are very important, and these standards mainly deal with how we could basically process or manage data, and how we can deal with the quality of data, how could we analyze and provide metrics to analyze the quality of data. Working group 3 deals with trustworthiness, and then similarly we have use cases and applications working group, we have computational approaches and computational characteristics of AI systems, and then we have a joint working group which is called governance of AI. All these working groups are really working great in these directions, because we definitely need standards to consider all these aspects when we are dealing with AI in real world. So here I have collected published standards of ISO IEC, which are basically available to download or to adopt. And I categorize these standards in 5 categories, which are basically suitable to build trustworthy AI systems. So, for example, in data domain, we have right now 5 standards available, which are mainly dealing with big data. Unfortunately, most of these standards are still under development, because the standardization of AI is still a kind of new initiative. We already have like from it's not kind of new the old stuff, like we are just have this working group found in 2017, but they are really doing great job, and they are producing a lot of standards, but still a lot of standards are coming in few years or in few months. Unfortunately, we don't have any privacy and security standards in AI right now by ISO in the published domain, but there are some standards which are still under development. Notable standards are from ethics and explainability. For example, artificial intelligence standards that deals with bias in AI systems and AI-aided decision making. So this is very important standard while developing AI systems, where we need to think about the factor of bias, and mainly bias comes from the data, because the data is, we don't have a complete VN or complete snapshot of data, and while developing or while adopting the AI systems in a real life environment, the system may be biased based on the poor or the bad quality of the data. Furthermore, we have computational approaches and algorithms related standards that deals with how we could efficiently use different kind of algorithms, which kind of algorithms will be most suitable for which kind of task, and different kind of frameworks available. And these frameworks will help to basically develop and build high standard or high quality AI systems. The next big organization international level is IEEE Standard Association. IEEE is extensively working under the domain of ethical standards. It has a very good series which is called IEEE 5P7000 series of standards that is mainly concerned with the ethical concepts of AI. But IEEE also have many technical standards that deal with the technical concerns, and here is the list of the published AI standards. For example, AI already have some standards published in the domain of computational approaches and algorithms. One of the very good standard is the standard in the domain of federated machine learning, which is kind of a concept where we need to develop a model or train AI systems where we have distributed data sources available, and we would like to take care of the privacy concerns and how we anonymize the data from the different sources and how could we build the model. So this federated machine learning standard basically deals with these kind of concerns. Again, another aspect of AI standards is governance aspect. This is very important from European point of view because in Europe we have now going to have a kind of, it's not a law at the moment, but the proposed regulatory for framework set a lot of high requirements for the AI system to be used in public domains. So basically the proposal has divided artificial intelligence systems into four main categories, starting from high-risk AI systems to the minimum or low-risk AI systems. And for the high-risk AI systems, there is a very high requirements of the governance like logging and providing a lot of details to the regulatory bodies, or you should need to keep track how your model is trained, how you have collected the data, what kind of norms and what kind of precautions you use while collecting the data. Do you also deal with the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Rule in Europe? So if you are not compliant with these regulatory requirements, maybe you will face high fines, or maybe you will not able to apply or sell or develop your system in the public domain. These are some standards from IEEE which deals with the ethics and explainability. Explainability is also a very important topic when we apply AI in a sensitive domain. And for example, the medical is one of the wonderful example in this thing, like where you need to provide some sort of trust in the form of explanations you could provide to the medical experts or the end users. And your model should be able to backtrack and provide proper reasoning and explanations why the model has achieved this decision or make this conclusion. But still, most of the European laws for the high-risk systems advise to basically use human-in-the-loop strategy. These are some standards which are still under development at IEEE, and we hope in the coming weeks or months or years, we will have a lot of AI standards that we could use and adopt in our development process. Here I am just showing a current snapshot of the current state of ISO, IEC, and IEEE AI standards. So we have around 23 standards available at right now, and 26 standards are still under progress. So these are the results of very exciting study, which is basically done by AI standardization regulatory framework, where they basically map the different AI Act regulatory requirements with the standards. So here you will see in the vertical, in this column, you will see different requirements proposed by AI Act, like data and data governance, technical documentation, record keeping, transparency and information to users, human oversight, accuracy, robustness, and cybersecurity, risk management systems, and quality management systems. So in order to put your system in the European market, you basically need to have the compliance requirements with these. These are the compliance requirements. And here you will see the standards, either developed or under development, which you could use to basically deal with these compliance requirements. So I hope like this talk will help to understand the constraints related to the AI and their implications toward the real life scenarios, and the importance of regulatory bodies, and the importance of standards to build trustworthy AI systems. So if you have any questions, please, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sheikh Fakhrudin साहब आपने मास्टर से बहुत अच्छी presentation दी, which was related to the standard and especially the IEEE standard related to the artificial intelligence. Questions? Are there any questions from the audience? मेरा ख्याल है कि ये टॉपिक मुझे थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट था, और यहाँ पे जरा थोड़े लोग हैं जो इस पे काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन टास्क काफी इंटरेस्टिंग थी, एथिकल एंड ट्रस्टवर्थी एआई जब बनेगी जबकि उसके स्टैंडर्ड होंगे, स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन होगी जिस तरह हर चीज की होती है, तो मेरा ख्याल है कि क्योंकि काफी लोग इसमें क्योंकि इस स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन पाकिस्तान में बहुत कम लोग काम करते हैं, और IEEE स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन सोसाइटी जो है IEEE स्टैंडर्ड, इसके भी बहुत कम लोग मेंबर्स हैं। तो लेकिन ये सबके लिए ये बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट होगा पता करना कि हम किस तरह से स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन डेवलपमेंट है प्रोसेस है पूरी दुनिया में, जो कि स्टैंडर्ड हम यूज करते हैं वो इतने ईजी है, इतने आसान नहीं है, उसके पीछे इतने लोग काम कर रहे होते हैं, इतनी ज्यादा डॉक्यूमेंटेशन होती है, उसकी इतनी वर्जन बनती है, और फिर जाकर वो स्टैंडर्ड में करते हैं। तो वी हैड सम आपके जो पेश किया उसने ओवरलुक मिली चीजों की, एआई के अंदर जो एथिकल के लिए जो स्टैंडर्ड बनते हैं कौन से हो गए हैं, कौन से स्टैंडर्ड अभी जो है वो इन प्रोग्रेस है, और कौन से बन के आ रहे हैं। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच डॉक्टर शेख साहब, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया आपने
जी बहुत शुक्रिया जी, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर इनवाइटिंग।